Hi, I'm Art Fireman, editor of Projector Reviews and Smarter Home Automation, and today we're going to take a close look at Epson's brand new commercial laser projectors. Epson isn't the first player into the high brightness laser projector market, but their rollout of 6 commercial laser projectors is certain to have a real impact on the industry. There are 6 models in the lineup. There are 2 versions of each model, one shipping with a standard zoom lens and the other without a lens. Those without a lens sell for $300 less than those that come with a standard motorized zoom. The models range from the entry-level L1100 laser, sporting an impressive 6,000 color and white lumens at $84.99 with lens, and range up to $21,999 for the top of the line 12,000 lumen L1500 and 1505. All of the Epsons are shipping this summer, 2016. I so do like being the first guy on the block to get my hands on a projector, especially when it's this exciting a model. In fact, I returned it after today's shoot because this is the only sample pre-production L1505 in the US, and it will be showed and demoed for the first time in the US at Infocom in the Epson booth in less than 2 weeks. Now, some Epson projector background for you. Most know Epson is one of the largest printer manufacturers in the world. Although projectors are a smaller market, Epson long ago established themselves as the largest player in projector space, and they now have a 48% share of the North American market per PMA, a leading industry analyst firm. By the way, that doesn't include those dim sub-1 pound Pico projectors. With Epson offering far more models than any of the competition, over 150 projectors, that cover from entry-level to medium commercial projectors, that's little surprise. Epson has always been known for portables and the small to medium install projectors for conference rooms and classrooms, but over the last few years, starting with their G series and then their dual lamp Z series, have been moving up to compete with the heavy metal manufacturers, names like Christie, Barco, and Digital Projection. Those guys still make some even brighter projectors than anything in Epson's lineup, with the Epsons topping out at 12,000 lumens. They are now a largest venue player. Hey, stack 4 of the L1500s together and you have about 48,000 usable lumens. Now, that many may actually physically melt a wall, but I digress. The point is, Epson is now competing against all but the most powerful projectors on the market, and they can compete with those using stacking. Now, every one of these laser projectors have many things in common and few differences other than price and brightness. Perhaps, though, the most important and related similarities are in terms of performance, are that these projectors are all WUXGA resolution, that's 1920 by 1200, which is slightly higher than 1080p HD, and that all of these projectors offer pixel shifting and the ability to handle true 4K content. These Epsons have by far the most impressive pixel shifting skills I've seen to date, and that one exceptional capability is key to the superb value proposition of the entire Epson laser lineup. Discussing and demonstrating the pixel shifting in action and what it means in performance and value will be our feature in this video. But before we get to that, there is much more to discuss. I would say an overview, but there is so much to cover it takes more than a minute or two. We'll talk general performance, color, black levels, etc., the technologies and some of the key features. Then we'll circle back to our discussion and demo of resolution and pixel shifting. Of course, that will be followed with a full tour of the Epson hardware, and then I'll wrap things up with some thoughts on how these Epsons stack up against the competition, and finally a summary. For even more detail though, do check out our full online review of the L1505. Best to start with picture quality. That means first and foremost color handling and contrast. Contrast as defined by black level performance. As is typical of almost all Epson projectors, color performance right out of the box is rather excellent. Even the brightest mode has reasonably good color without an excessive amount of extra green or yellow, which is typical of brightest modes. So it looks pretty good. But the other modes vary from really good to downright excellent. When you need perfect color, of course, there are full calibration controls. But even right out of the box, you will see some excellent skin tones, deep reds and vibrant yellows, etc. For a high power projector, the L1505 I have here produces great and rather natural looking color. Although not what it is built for, I love the skin tone handling on the Hunger Games and other movies that I viewed on this Epson while I've had it here. Did I say calibration? The entire Epson L series will auto-calibrate. 2 ways to do that. One is to have the projector self-calibrate. You'll notice a camera sensor in the front, back to its original color, or calibration can be scheduled over an IP network, and you can calibrate up to 9 of these projectors together to produce essentially identical color. This is perfect for those larger venue, more sophisticated applications such as edge blending, which is very popular in museum displays, and projection mapping, and also some other types of digital signage as well. For those, it's critical that the projectors combining to display different parts of a large image have identical color. That's exactly what these Epsons were designed to be able to do. And they have the other necessary features such as constant brightness option, so that all the projectors will maintain exactly the same brightness for years. Same exact colors, same exact brightness. Exactly what's called for. Contrast and black levels. Dynamic contrast is claimed to be 2.5 million to 1, a ridiculously high number, and I don't go much by contrast specs, especially dynamic ones, so it comes down for me to real life performance, that is, black levels. Now, first of all, these Epsons can do a pure black. That's something only solid-state light engines are even capable of. That means during intentional or in-between scene black frames will cause the Epson's laser engine to completely shut off. No light at all hits the screen. Once there is even a small amount of color or white on a frame, though, the laser engine is on, and the more traditional technical issues come into play regarding black levels. Black level performance turns out to be extremely good, although the projectors are so bright that you need a huge screen, not the 100-inch screen I use for testing, to really see great blacks. The entire laser line also has a host of other image processing going on. Naturally, there's CFI, creative frame interpolation for smooth motion. There's detail enhancement, and Epson's super resolution, and of course various image noise reduction processing. Slow panning, occasionally troublesome for some projectors, the L1505 handle with no effort at all. In fact, almost always this is what we expect from Epsons that we review. It's just that these lasers are simply the best projectors Epson has ever built in virtually every way. When it comes to brightness, we were expecting 12,000 lumens maximum with less from the best quality modes. When it was time to break out the meter and measure the L1505, here's what we found. Okay, a few extra lumens, few less, let's not quibble. But no matter how you slice it, that's a ton of both color and white lumens that will allow for great color on some truly huge screens. As a laser projector, color and brightness hold for a long time. The laser engine will lose half of its brightness at its rated 20,000 hours if you're running it at full power, although if running at less than full power, it can stretch to 30,000 hours. A traditional projector lamp is also rated at 50% brightness. The difference is that with an Epson laser, it's years, not months, before you lose that much brightness. If you don't need full brightness, you can dial down the Epson's brightness in 1% increments all the way down to 30% of maximum brightness. There's also even a quiet mode, which drops the brightness down from maximum by 30% and reduces audible noise to 31 decibels, which is just on the high side of home theater projectors and amazingly quiet considering the L1505 is still putting out over 8,000 lumens. All total, there are 8 different fully motorized zoom lenses for the Epson L1500 and L1505. What I find interesting is that all the less expensive L-series lasers also have available an ultra short throw lens, but these two do not. Gee, if you need ultra short throw, the brightest you can get is 8,000 lumens out of any Epson lasers. Naturally, there are plenty of lens memories to save setups, and of course plenty of motorized vertical and horizontal lens shift range. Between that and all the lens choices, the placement flexibility seems almost infinite. The lenses all support focus on screen sizes of up to 300 inches diagonal. Interestingly, the ultra short throw goes up to 400 inches diagonal. Now it's time to talk and observe the L-series real magic, and that lies with their extraordinary implementation of pixel shifting. Let's start with what that is. A normal WUXG projector is 1920 by 1200 pixels. That's 2 megapixels. With pixel shifting engaged when displaying 4K content, a couple of things happen. First, image processing will look at that full 4K, which is 8 megapixels, and reprocess it down to not 1920 across, but double that at 3840. When the Epson displays the image, it will go to the data, display 2 megapixels worth, then shift the pixel structure by a half a pixel upward to the right. It will then produce the other 2 megapixels for a 4 megapixel total. Although that's still only half of true 4K and the pixel size is still larger, the masks between the pixels is gone and the image appears dramatically sharper, as you can see in these comparison images looking at 4K content with and without pixel shifting. Unreadable small type is now very readable. Barely readable small type is now gloriously sharp. And of course, dramatically sharper than standard 2K content as well. I'll concede that a true 4K projector will do even better, of course, but considering the pricing argument, now that you see that an Epson WUXGA pixel shifter can produce an image with dramatically more detail, more readability than is possible with a standard 1080p image, or even as shown here with true 4K content, but without pixel shifting engaged, it may well be, in fact, it will likely be that most people thinking that their professional installation requires a true 4K projector will rethink that upon seeing this demo. That is especially true when price is considered. Consider that Epson's less expensive L1100 is 6,000 lumens for only $8,499. Then consider Sony's 5,000 lumen true 4K, their 5000E model, which is $60,000. Now, if the Epson with pixel shifting content can get you more than halfway to 4K readability, it's going to be hard to rationalize spending 4, 5, 6 times the price for a less bright 4K projector. Okay, I need a break, so it's time for your tour of the Epson L1505 projector's hardware, and I'll be right back. Let's start our tour of Epson's L1505 laser projector by staring down the barrel of the standard motorized zoom lens, one of 8 motorized lenses available. There's dual exhausts, one on either side. Now this is a true WUXGA projector, 1920 by 1200, but it is a pixel shifter and accepts 4K content. Now you're looking at the auto calibration camera. The back panel has the control panel and all the inputs. We'll start with the control panel. There's power on, there's standby, which is off. Of course, you've got your source. Standard navigation includes menu, escape, and a center enter button surrounded by 4 navigation arrows. Notice that the arrows do other things when you're not navigating the menus. Bottom left has your AV mute, and bottom right is one-touch access to the lens motorized functions. That brings us to the inputs and connectors. There's a standard LAN local area network on the top left there. Now this machine supports Control 4 AMX and Crestron protocols amongst others. Next over is an HDBaseT for running your network up to 100 meters over low-cost Cat6 wire, and it's got the latest HDMI support and copy protection. DVI-D for digital input next to that. And then comes a standard HDMI, again with HDMI 2.0 and HDCP 2.2. Okay, service port, and then comes, if you need live video feeds over coax up to 100 meters using their SDI, which supports full 1080p resolution. Below that, shifting back to the left, is a small Kensington lock slot. Next to that are 5 BNC connectors and an audio stereo input below that for dealing with component video. Further to right, a hardwire for your remote control if you need to run long lanes or rear projection, and an RS-232 serial port for command and control. To finish up, we swing back to the left where we find audio 3, an analog computer input, another audio right below it, a monitor out for your computer monitor, and a stereo audio out. That, folks, pretty much completes the back except for the infrared sensor up there on the top right, and you can see the actual fan itself that's pumping all the air through this machine. That concludes our tour of Epson's L1505. Okay, as you saw, and as I promised, this Epson laser is loaded with inputs and connectors. I should note that there are some differences between the videos showing the L1505 and some of the other models, but they are minor. Most notably, the L1505 and 1500 offer 3G SDI, the ability to run 1080p video sources directly into this Epson from as far away as 300 feet. The L1405 offers the same capability but only up to 720p HD. I remind you that we've shown you some 4K content from Blu-ray disc. That's possible because the HDMI input is HDMI 2.0 and the copy protection is HDCP 2.2, both required for Blu-ray UHD. Enough. The bottom line, based on the top of the line Epson I have here, Epson has a winning, aggressively priced lineup of 2K laser projectors capable of handling true 4K content and reproducing it looking far more like a true 4K projector than any old WUXGA model. This ability gives these Epsons a huge potential market. Everyone who believes that true 4K projection would be ideal for their application, but who lack the budget. Sure, there will be some applications that demand a true 4K projector, but for most, the massive cost savings going the Epson laser route will be just too much of a deal to pass on. Extremely bright projectors from 6,000 to 12,000 lumens max, stackable, usable for edge blending and projection mapping applications with up to 9 projectors. excellent color, excellent 3-year warranty with overnight replacement program for all 3 years, lots of lenses, incredible placement flexibility, extremely well priced. A really full feature set and pixel shifting design that completely challenges the value proposition of true 4K projectors. Wow. This Epson laser is certainly the most impressive commercial projector I believe I've ever reviewed. A hot product award? No problem. A top contestant for our 2016 Best Projector of the Year? Certainly. Hey, that's my heavy metal story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm Art Fireman. Thanks for joining us today.